It's Tuesday, October 18th, and yesterday something went into effect that will change the lives of many elderly people. I say elderly people, but it could also change the lives of some others who are younger and are afflicted with hearing loss. For the first time, adults in the U.S. will be able to buy over-the-counter hearing aids. That's instead of getting a prescription and having to wait for a custom fitting. So the audiology industry, which is a large industry, I get advertising from them constantly, is going to take a big hit, I believe, because many will go out and attempt to buy hearing aids over the counter. I'm not sure that's a really good idea. I know for a fact that hearing aids are very expensive because I have hearing aids and mine are on the cheap side because they only cost me about $2,000. That's my second set of hearing aids. The first set I got cost me over $5,000. And every time I had a little problem, it cost me a couple of $100 to go see the audiologist. So having and living with hearing aids is not an inexpensive proposition. And I bet you that there are many people in this country who have hearing problems, but they can't afford hearing aids. Imagine if you're making only like $25,000 or $30,000 a year and you're living on that kind of money. How can you afford to spend $5,000 for hearing aids? So this may or may not be a wonderful idea about allowing people to buy hearing aids over the counter or online, because hearing aids are tricky and not everything that is sold is a true hearing aid. Some of them are just sound modification devices. Now I got a set of sound modification devices just to see how they worked, and they cost me $50. So, if people are going to go and buy those online, they should understand that they're not true hearing aids. What the sound modification device does, it acts like an amplifier. So if you turn it on and you set the volume, it's like having a radio in your ear. It'll pick up sound waves, but it really, really won't give you the true essence of hearing. So there are those things out there, and I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm just saying that they're not hearing aids. Now, my audiologist and I have become friends over the years, and I met him at the Y, where he came in and gave me a hearing test, and then he explained what he was going to do, and the price was very reasonable. So I went with him, and it turned out that he's beyond being a nice guy, and we've become friends. He's a neighbor. He doesn't live far from me. And any time I've had a problem, he's been able to solve it at a very reasonable cost. So that's what you have to look for. I don't know that running and buying something like this online from people who won't have an interest in you after you bought the device is a good idea. So I'm happy with my guy. I'm extremely happy with my friend and audiologist, and I would recommend that you go out and find an audiologist just like that. And I'll be happy to recommend anybody to my guy, but that's beside the point. The real issue is the high cost of the hearing aids. Roughly, conservatively, $2,000 per ear, and there are tens of millions of people who have hearing loss, but only about 16% of those with hearing loss can afford or choose to have hearing aids. Now that's according to the National Institute on Deafness and Other Communication Disorders. I didn't even know that there was such an organization. So for those of you out there who think that this is going to be a good deal, there's a couple of things that you need to know. You should go out and get tested and make sure that you really have hearing loss. I had a situation a couple of weeks ago where my hearing aid seemed to fail. But when I went and see my audiologist, and he checked my ear and he moved around, and I had wax, a lot of wax built up, and that's what was causing the problem. So many people may have a problem with wax and they really don't have a hearing problem. So you need to get tested, you need to know that. And that's a simple thing. So before you do anything stupid, you should get tested, because getting tested is important. At least you will know what you're getting into. And remember, because you're tested, you're not obligated to buy anything. So if you're in the market for a hearing aid, one of the tips that I found is that you should make sure that wherever you buy this hearing aid, that they have a return policy that's acceptable. Like 45 or 60 days. And that's what I understand that Walgreens and Best Buy are willing to offer people. So you don't want to buy something that you can't return. That's very important. And then make sure it's a hearing aid, not a sound amplifier. So you have to look for the title OTC hearing aid on the package. Make sure that you're buying a hearing aid and not some other device that is not a hearing aid. So those are some of the tips that I found out when I was reading these articles. And remember that hearing aids will be regulated, but hearing modifiers and hearing amplifiers are not regulated in any way, shape, or form. The person who wrote the article believes that the Federal Drug Administration did a good job in writing the rules for hearing aids over the counter. But still, I caution all of you, it's caveat emptor, buyer beware. Make sure that when you get this device, it's a real hearing aid, and make sure that you have a good return policy, and maybe they'll even allow you to test it in the store on some device. Because this is not something that you want to spend money on and find out that it really doesn't work well for you. Hearing is very important. So I caution you, when this law, now that this law has gone into effect, you could take advantage of it, but be a smart shopper. And in my experience, 85 to 90% of the people that shop are not really smart shoppers. So I'm sure of a couple of things. That the hearing aids that will be over the counter will be good enough for a person who doesn't have severe hearing loss. But if you have severe hearing loss, you really need to go see an audiologist and get something that is fitted for you. And I leave you with those thoughts today. Take care. If you choose to go for hearing aid, maybe you should get a test even though you intend to buy it over the counter or online. Have a great day. Bye.